Y'all, this picture is pixelated as hell. You're not going to be able to tell who is who, where, what, when, why, nothing about it. But this is a picture of when we dropped my dad off at the Montgomery, Alabama airport for a deployment. My dad was in the Air Force when I was growing up, so by the time I met Alastair, I'd already had experience with a deployment, but there is a difference. I have now experienced it from both perspectives, being the child of somebody who's deploying and being the spouse of somebody who's deploying. And both equally depressing. You know, it sucks, but being the spouse of somebody who's deploying is just that much worse, right? It sucks a little bit more. Now, it is different. Like, I relate more to my mom now because my mom was the spouse of somebody who deployed and had to take care of the homestead and the kids and all of that. But that was the difference, right? There's a big difference where my mom was taking care of 3 kids, taking care of the house, dogs, and going to school at the same time. So she was out there pretty much being Superwoman. Now, all I have to do is really take care of a house and the dog. But, you know, it still sucks. Alastair and I got married in 2017. His first deployment was 2018 through 2019. Now, Alastair is deployed again. This is his second deployment. Luckily, hopefully, pray to God the last one. But we thought we'd be a little bit more prepared for this one. Or at least I thought I'd be a little bit more prepared for this one. You know, after the last one, I'm like, the last one was so rough, it was so hard, and it was the first one that, like, we'll be prepared this time. I kind of know what to expect. In the days leading up to Alastair's deployment, there was just this blanket of sorrow. There was neither of us were really trying to acknowledge it, but we could both feel it, and it was just in the air. It was sad, and we kind of lost a lot of time together just by having we were visiting so many people, and so many people were coming to visit us, and it was just, we should have cleared like a good 2 weeks before he deployed and said, we're just going to spend time together for like 2 weeks. But by the time our last like house visitor left, we had like 3 days. And in that 3 days, we had so much to do to get ready. We had to do power of attorney. We had to pack all of his stuff up, get everything that he needed. We needed to clear out his office. And it was just so much here and there and everywhere that we had to focus on that by the time we were able to sit down and enjoy each other, it was the day before he left. And it was just sad. And that whole day just felt sad. Alastair woke me up that morning and drove me out to the mountains, and we watched the sunrise together, and it just was nice. And then the rest of the day we spent watching one of our favorite trilogies, the Before Sunrise trilogy, and just laid around together for most of the day, just spent time together. And then that night I had to take him and drop him off. And it did not feel easier. As much as we were fucking trying, it did not feel easier. It was as equally as rough. We were trying, I could tell we were being a little bit braver for each other, kind of trying to hold back those tears. But man, as soon as I got in the car, my fucking waterworks were going. Got home and just laid on the couch with Brando and you just feel that absence. You feel the loss, and you know, he's not there. And again, it's day one, so then you're like trying to hype yourself back up. You know, it's a year. Day one of the year, we got to really get through this. But man, I really felt that. I really felt that loss for him, and I just felt terrible for him.
Well, we just wanted to call you.
I appreciate y'all's call.
I've been thinking about you all day. Did you get to talk to your mom and dad?
I talked to my mom briefly. Not my dad, but my dad came to visit for
Right.
like 3 days a couple weeks ago. But luckily, this is my last deployment. Doing 9 months of good stuff, and then coming back and getting out. So I'm looking forward to seeing y'all again in 9+ months. So.
Well, we'll be here. Everything will still be the same. Nothing will be any different over here.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, if you need anything, just let us know, okay?
Will do. Thank you for the call.
Send us your address as soon as you can, or Zachary can give it to us so we can send you stuff.
Yeah, your address.
Will do, Jason. Yeah, I'll
But we won't post it on Facebook.
Unless you don't send us your address.
Yeah, unless you don't send it to us, then I'll put, Alastair, you're supposed to send me your address.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Appreciate the call. Thank you so much. And can't wait to see y'all again next summer. So
All right. Well, we love you.
love you too.
Tell Zach to call me.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
Hey.
That was very nice.
That was really nice. That like makes me a little teary.
It makes me teary.
I didn't expect they would call. That was kind of out of the blue, wouldn't it?
It was a little bit. I'm crying because I'm not gonna be with you right now. I'm not gonna see anybody. I think that your family's like. I'm so grateful that I married into your family.
Yeah. I know they love you. All of them love you. I mean, I think you're Granny's favorite too. And I know my mom likes you more than me. So. It is once again time for me to thank the sponsor for today's video, Helix Sleep. They're actually running their 4th of July sale right now, so it's a great time to upgrade your mattress anyway. You can get 30% off of an Elite or Luxe mattress, plus 2 free pillows, or you can take advantage of their 25% off site-wide. You gotta go check out the Helix site for more details. Alastair and I got our first Helix Sleep mattress in 2020, so it's been like almost 4 years now since we've had this one. This was our first one. It's a queen size. And then we also got a year later, because we needed a little bit more space. Did we really? We have dogs, so yes, we did. We got a king size, and that has just been a godsend. I love to flip between both of the beds. They feel the exact same, just a little bit of a size difference. So while Alastair's gone, I sleep in the smaller one most of the time. Both mattresses still have their firmness. We've got like a medium kind of mattress, so like they have firmness, they have softness. They're not sagging down to the floor. Your ass is not going to be on the floor, so that's all you can really hope for, right? Helix Sleep makes premium mattresses customized to fit your needs, and it's conveniently shipped to your door. Alastair and I have different sleep preferences, so we took Helix's sleep quiz. The quiz matches you to your perfect mattress based on your body type, sleep positions, and other factors. I'm an all-over sleeper. Alastair's a side sleeper. Alastair likes a firm mattress. I like more medium. We took the quiz once when we needed a queen-size mattress, and then again when we upgraded to a king-size, and both times it matched us to the Midnight Lux mattress. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including their award-winning Lux and Ultra Premium Elite collections. The Helix Plus, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and the Helix Kids mattress, designed for growing bodies and endorsed by child sleep and medical experts. Now, if you're nervous about buying something online, you do get a 100-night sleep trial to make sure it fits you. It comes rolled up in a box and is super easy to set up. Helix will even ship your mattress to your door for free in the US. Listen, we love our Helix mattresses and we think that you would too, so if you or anybody you know is in the market for a new mattress and you're ready to upgrade your sleep, really invest in yourself, go check out their 4th of July sale running now. Again, you can get 30% off of an Elite or Lux mattress plus 2 free pillows, or you can take 25% off site-wide. Check out the description box below also, and yeah. Over on the Patreon, we do like these Zoom calls a couple times a month. Sometimes they're just game nights. Sometimes it's just hangouts, and we're just talking and joking around, and it's a group of us, and sometimes it turns into like a therapy session, right? And one of the recent ones that we've done did that. It turned into like a therapy session, and we talked for a while about just, I don't even know how we ended up on this topic. If anybody's out there and they're part of the Patreon, how did we even get on this topic? I don't remember. But we ended up on a topic about like age. You know what? It was because on My Nudie Judy, which is another show on the Patreon, me and my friend Ian were talking about like age gap relationships, right? And I think that sort of like snowballed into a bigger conversation. And we ended up on like the topic of getting married too young, right? So when Alastair and I met, I was still going to the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and I was 21 when we met. It was like my last year of college. I was like the most cocky, arrogant son of a bitch, you know. Thought I knew everything. I thought I was so fucking wise when I was 21. I mean, we can all relate to that, right? As immature as you are, you think you're like the smartest fucking person in the room, or that's narcissism talking. I don't know. Either way, that's very much how I was. And I met Alastair towards the end of my senior year in college, and we met on Instagram. For those of y'all who are new, I just started YouTube, so I'd only had really a few YouTube videos out, and he had seen one of my YouTube videos on the Gay Bros Reddit, and had slid into my DMs, and he was saying he liked my videos a lot, and we were doing a whole lot of talking back and forth, and, you know, calling each other dude, and very cringy. Very, very cringy. But it's, I don't know, it was sweet, and he was like one of the first people I talked to after coming out of this really long relationship, like on and off relationship that I'd been in for the majority of college. But this was one of the first people I'd talked to who I felt like a genuine connection with, who I felt like I don't know, I got him, and he got me, and we got each other, and we liked all of the same things, and, you know, our conversations they weren't one-word conversations, because, you know, when you go on Grindr or you're talking to somebody who, I don't know, if you're giving them a lot, if you're trying to strike up conversation with them and they are giving you one-word answers and they're not really giving you anything to respond to back, they're not that into you. I had a lot of those conversations. It wasn't working out. Dating was fucking, I'm not even going to complain about it. Some people have it worse, I guess. But when I met Alastair, our conversations flowed so easily, and we quickly went into talking on the phone and FaceTiming, and I would like walk my ass over to like the clubhouse in the computer room because my computer had died. So I would FaceTime him from like the computers at the clubhouse, and I would just sit in the clubhouse computer room for like 3-4 hours. We'd watch stuff, we'd just talk and edit my YouTube videos while he sat on with me. And then pretty quickly he came to visit me in Tuscaloosa, and we spent a weekend together. And then a week later, after he left, we were like, let's see each other again. Let's go to Atlanta. I had no fucking money. He had no fucking money. We had no business striking up this long distance relationship, but we did. And he had one more year at West Point, and So through that year at West Point, we had this long distance relationship. We got engaged after 6 months. Everything moved super quick with us. The whole thing was really quick. I don't even think we made it to the 6 month mark. I think we were like 5 months and some change, and I proposed to him, and we'd already sort of like around the 3-4 month mark told each other, okay, well at the 6 month mark we're allowed to propose, because we were both head over heels. We were ready for it. Were we ready for it? I don't know. We did it. But we had those conversations about like, well, we're gonna propose, but you know, it'll be like a race to see who proposes first, but you can only do it at the 6 month mark. So I like cheated and did it at the 5 month mark. I did it like we did like a birthday trip to Colorado, and he had this bum leg, so I couldn't take him up to the mountains or anything because he couldn't hike. So I proposed to him at the airport, and then, you know, a little bit after that, he proposed to me too, so that we both had a proposal, and I don't know, just all the stupid cute stuff. But like we moved really fast, and so then when he graduated from West Point was the summer of 2017, and it was like a month or two later that we got married, July 11th. We got married before that in like a copy room so that we could get on the base housing list. We don't really acknowledge that. I don't even know what date it is off the top of my head. I'd have to look at our marriage certificate. But our official ceremony and stuff like that was July 11th. And even that day was the first day that the day before, July 10th, was the first day that our families had even met. Our families hadn't even met. Everything just moved really, really quick. And so I was 22 when I got married, and I've done a lot of thinking about this. And so we were talking about this on the Patreon live, and this is sort of like where I'm at in my sort of like inventory, you know, my life inventory right now is that, let me check my time to make sure I'm good. I don't know, we might have to restart in like 5 minutes. But it sort of my life inventory, I've been going through it, and I'm like, well, shit, you know, you were really young when you got married, and you were too young, Zach. We moved really fast, and we got married. I think I got married too young. And that's something that is already sort of there, and it's already something we did. But thinking back on it, it's not something I would recommend. And I'm going to talk about why a little bit. I remember talking to my mom before I got married, and I think that's on a video too, is I talked to her about getting married so young, and if she was worried about me, and she's like, no, go do it, go ahead. She got married real young too. She had me when she was like 19, 20. And then got married like a year, 2 years later. So she got married really young too. So like her perspective was like, well, sure, you know, go ahead and get married young. So yeah, I'm 29 now, and I'll be 30 soon. And so I see things just so much differently now versus then. And I'll see things completely differently in 10 more years, right? But I don't think I was ready to get married when I was 22. Again, I thought I knew fucking everything, was the cockiest motherfucker. Everybody in the comments was always telling us, you're getting married too quick. Everything is moving too quick. This ain't gonna last. It's gonna be, it's just not a good idea, right? A lot of people giving unsolicited advice. And the thing is, when you put out YouTube videos, you're kind of asking for unsolicited advice, or you're like opening it up for that conversation because you're putting it out there, right? If you don't want the advice, if you don't want other people's input and opinion, don't put it out there. So I fully accept that, but like, I had a little bit of an attitude about people telling me stuff like that. I'm like, you can't tell me that. I'm a grown man. I can get married. I know what I'm doing. I'm fully mature. How are you gonna say I'm not mature enough to get married? I'm mature enough to get married. When I met Alastair, I had not at all processed any of my life. Which is what I'm doing right now. Is trying to process and move through certain events in my life that we just won't even get into today, but I hadn't even begun to scratch the surface. I hadn't even begun to talk about any of that, right? I think what I was doing on YouTube, what I was talking about on YouTube was like being in college and being gay and my coming out story and things like that. But I had a lot of deep shit that I needed to work out before I was ever ready to be in, maybe not a relationship. I think I could have been in a relationship, but speaking of my mom's texting me right now, Beyonce stuff. She sent me Beyonce TikToks. Getting married is such a, well, how do I even go into this? I think I'm going to start like with this, because we're starting to ramble. We're starting to do the ramble thing. We don't want to do all that, right? I think that Alastair was absolutely the person that I was destined to meet up with and end up with. And he is my person. I love him so much. He is my soulmate, and I don't regret marrying him. The life we've had together, I'm so happy with the life we've built together and where we are now, and all of that good stuff. There's no regret there. I don't feel any regret. But after having reflected and really started going through all of this, I was not ready to be a partner to him, to be a life partner to him. I had a lot of shit that I needed to get through first. I had a lot of growing up to do, maturing to do, and, we could have been in a relationship for a lot longer. We could have just dated and, taken our time. And that's what I think we should have done. He was far beyond his years in maturity, Alastair was, and he's just a genuinely good person with a really good heart, right? And I was, especially at the time that I met him, was kind of riding high on this YouTube thing, right? I demanded a lot of attention. I wanted a lot of attention. Attention wasn't something I felt like I got a lot of in life. And I don't know, starting YouTube, I got a lot of attention out of that. And I was like, well, shit, I really like this. And so I was riding high on this sort of wave of attention. But that was sort of like suppressing a lot of anger, a lot of built up anger that was like bubbling up to the surface, and a lot of like sadness, depression, like all of this like shiny newness of doing YouTube and then meeting this great guy. And like all of this was just such a high for me, right? But your high will eventually subside, and things that are bubbling to the surface will eventually spill over. For the year that Alastair and I were long distance, things were great. Things were fantastic, right? We were riding high on this new relationship, and at the speed at which we were moving in this relationship, I know this is a very common thing, especially in the gay community, that like we get into relationships really fast and we're in a U-Haul truck the next day. There's that sort of stereotype about that, and there is a sort of truth to that stereotype, especially in my case. And so because we were moving so fast, everything just felt like a high. We were going from like initial stages of dating to getting engaged to getting married, all within like a year. So like obviously everything was just that we didn't really ride any of this out. We were just like to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. And it was all so exciting, right? Then we get married, we move in together. I'd never lived with a boy before. He'd never lived with anybody before. And we didn't even live together before we got married. So the first time living together is when we first get married. And there's a lot of like growing pains you have to do, because you have to get used to each other and each other's space. And even, getting married and moving in together or moving in with anybody is going to be that same way. But, we had we fought a lot in that early year of marriage. That first year of marriage, we fought a lot. And a lot of that was coming from me. I think by the time the high of everything sort of started to settle down, I was just, that anger and that depression and all of this stuff that I had never, ever dealt with then started to spill over. So we move in together. We don't really get to live together as man and man right away, because then he's in Triple C, which is like this training course. And so all of his West Point friends are also in Triple C, and our house becomes the hangout house, the party house. And, we have all of these friends who are spending the night. Our friends basically lived with us for the entire first 6 months of our marriage. They were always staying in our bedrooms and stuff. And I fucking love these people. I love these people. They're great people. They are good friends. But like, we should have been able to spend our first few months of marriage, just us, right? But we weren't really able to like start work. And then like, so he gets out of West Point. They all get out of West Point, and West Point is so strict that it's like a whole college experience, right? They get out of West Point, and then that's when they get their college experiences. They get to finally drink, and they don't have to ask to stay out late or take pass to go, do a travel or something. I don't know. It's just a whole different So they're drinking, they start drinking, and they want to party, and they want to have fun, and, deservedly so. But I had just gotten out of 4 years of that. I was fucking over it. My body was tired. I did a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs, a lot of partying in college, and I was fucking worn out, and I didn't want to do that anymore. I had it in my mind that I want to be Susie Homemaker. I want to be married to my man, and we are going to have this like really domesticated life. This is what I want now. I want domestication. That was my hyperfixation of the moment, as I was wanting to be domesticated. But then I'm doing college 2.0 with all these people, and I'm like, fuck. And so I got really angry about that. I was just getting angry about all of these different things. And so all of this anger that was already there before I met Alastair was then being compounded by different things I was getting angry about. And I wasn't communicating with Alastair about how angry I was about that and how, like, I don't know, that's one of the ways I don't think I was mature enough to be in a marriage. I wasn't a great communicator. Like, we could communicate sometimes, but we really had to learn how to communicate with each other, because we could communicate sweet things and being sweet and how much we loved each other and all of that, those different things. But I had no skills and no tools to communicate as a person who is going through some shit and needs that support of a partner. And this is what I need from you. Can you give me this? This is how I can support you. It just, I didn't have those tools. And it was really hard to, it was unfair, I'll say. It was very unfair for Alastair to have to put up with me and my mood swings. I wasn't handling my emotions correctly. I wasn't regulating my emotions in the way that a person who should be in a marriage, you know, if you get married to somebody, it's not your partner's responsibility to then teach you how to fucking deal with your emotions and teach you how to be a fucking adult and, you know, take you through all of these things. You should be ready by the time you get into a marriage. Now, being in a marriage and having a partner, you help each other. That's what a marriage is, your support system for each other, right? But there is sort of a level of responsibility that falls on yourself to handle situations in the right way, and it's just a maturity level that you need to reach before you get into a marriage, at least in my opinion. This is going to be real vulnerable for me, because I've fought this point for a really long time, because it's just not something I've ever been really comfortable saying to a whole lot of people, and I've had a lot of comments that have pointed this out, but I had a real problem with drinking. And again, getting out of college, where it's kind of like, I remember hearing through college that you're not an alcoholic until you're out of college, right? And it's just kind of the joke. It's like, just keep drinking. And it really encouraged the partying, all of that was really encouraged. And I just always kind of took that. And I was like, well, I'll leave college and I'll be fine. And especially meeting Alastair, I'm thinking, well, I'm going to get out of college and I'm going to be married to Alastair and we're going to have our house and, and then by 27, we're going to have a kid. And, this is where my life is going now, right? So I'm not going to be drinking a whole bunch. But again, these West Point graduates are now like, oh, let's party, let's drink. And so I'm having to then do college 2.0. And when I drink, especially back then, there is a certain line that sometimes I will not see and I will completely black out. And that was happening a lot. And so when I would drink with all these people, I was always blacking out. I was always having like these really emotional moments. And when I drink, like I got really emotional, right? And so like then I have all of this shit that I've been suppressing from my childhood and from college and like all of this trauma that I'd been through, right? That I had never processed any of it. And all of a sudden, it just like, I don't even know how it all started coming out, but it came out at the worst time because I would be drinking these like a full box of wine a night and just all of this trauma would come out. I'm doing all of this trauma dumping on Alastair. This was just stuff that I wasn't even prepared to come out, so I wasn't sure how to regulate all of these emotions and all of these things that I was feeling and all of this depression. I was mistaking for anger, so I would, get really shitty with him and I was just a fucking terrible partner. I was a terrible partner and I was a terrible guy to live with. And, fucking man, Alastair didn't deserve that. He really didn't. And where he was at in life and where I was at in life, we just didn't match. I should have taken so much time because we've been married for like 7 years now, right? A lot of those years was me learning about myself and learning what my sort of triggers are, what sort of what'll make me really depressed, what sort of fucking traumas I need to get through and what life tools I need to learn how to use and how to regulate emotions and all of these different things. All of these different things that make you a fully formed human being. That you just like, you learn growing up as you grow, like everybody else does. Growing up, you just learn those things. But when you attach a husband to that before you're able to become this fully formed human being, I think it's a little unfair. And I do think for Alastair it was very much unfair because he's such a kind soul, such a sweetheart, and he has been there for me through all of this, right? But I think it was always my responsibility to sort of figure my shit out, because I can't be flinging all of my shit on him. It was my responsibility to come into this marriage as somebody who was ready to be his husband. And I carry a lot of guilt with me now that he had to put up with me like that for so long, because there were a couple times where I would like check him out of the relationship. I would say, you know what, why do you even want to be with me? Like, I'm a big self-sabotager, is what I've learned about myself. I have always self-sabotaged, and that is like my biggest fucking downfall. And that's like, I was checking him out of the relationship instead of letting him be a fucking man and tell me, no, I'm here, I'm participating in this relationship. Like, fucking listen to him, listen to what he's saying, right? But it's just these spirals I was going through and all of this, and he didn't, it wasn't his fucking responsibility to put up with my spirals, to deal with my spirals, to put up with a person who was just falling the fuck apart, you know? And I was falling apart. You know what it really was? After 2020, during 2020, I really fucking, I had the biggest spiral I've ever had. I had a lot of stuff that was going on with my family, and then a lot of secrets were coming out, so a lot of things were spilling over and boiling and coming out, and all these fucking secrets and all this whole thing, and just spiraling, and I don't know. And then I would sit on these Zoom calls for like 6 hours every night and drink a box of wine a night. I was drinking like a box of wine a night, or drinking like cases of beer a night. And then I would go online and I would spend all my fucking money. It was just like buying stuff because I was drunk and just shopping. And I just learned I was in a full fucking spiral during 2020, and was finding all of the wrong ways to cope. I was gaining so much weight because I would just binge eat, right? I was just binge eating fucking everything. If I wasn't binge eating, I was smoking all these cigarettes, and I was drinking all this alcohol, and I was spending all this money and just coping in all of the wrong ways. And that is when I was sort of like telling him, well, you know, you're just gonna fucking leave me anyway. And I wouldn't even go to bed with him. He would wake up and I would still be going. And he'd be like, are you coming to bed? And I'd be like, no, I'm on a fucking live stream. I'm drinking. I'm having fun with my friends. And he'd just kind of look at me and go back to bed. And in the morning, he'd wake me up and I'd be on the fucking couch. Or one time he wakes me up and I'm outside on the chair on the back porch. And that year was really my fucking wake-up call. It's just, you're really fucking up here, Zach. You're really messing up. You're gonna lose him. You're really gonna lose him. And so, I don't know. I've really put in the effort. I really have. That was my wake-up call, to be like, well, your life is sort of your responsibility, and the partner you're gonna be to Alastair is your responsibility. And if you're not going to be a good husband to him, there's somebody else out there who will be. You're going to lose him, and that person's going to get him. Do you want that? Is that how you want your life to go? That's selfish. And I don't want my life to be like that. I don't want my life to be without him, because I love him so much, and I do feel like he is my soulmate. And so, you know, I had to really take myself out of that victim mentality. And it does get hard with trauma. Trauma does do fucked up things to your brain. It really does scramble your brain, and things get really confusing and really hard to navigate. But it is your responsibility to navigate it. It's your responsibility. And I've learned that. I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that I'm not always great. I'm not always doing the right thing, but I know that. And I do try. I guess the whole roundabout of all of this is that I got married too young. I guess we've made our point. Hold on, my fucking arm is hurting with this. I got married way too young. I wasn't a person who was ready to be somebody's husband. And the fact that I found Alastair was really fucking lucky. I'm really fucking lucky that I found him and that he has not left my ass yet, you know? And I owe it to him to be a good husband. So, I don't know. These are kind of my thoughts of late. So, I've kind of been doing this thing on YouTube where I feel like my YouTube journey is sort of at that place where I'm doing a lot more thinking out loud, right? Those are sort of my videos rather than like vlog content. So, I don't know if that's more or less appealing for all y'all, but it feels more authentic to me right now. So, it's kind of what I'm doing. But yeah, I don't know. I guess final takeaway, you're in charge of your own life. You're responsible for your own life. Nobody else. Like, you may have trauma. You may have things and shit that you've been through in life. But if you're, you know, nobody else is going to handle that for you. Nobody else is going to be able to give you the thing that you need to be able to, like, get rid of all that trauma and move on and make your life completely better. Sometimes it does just come down to you. Sometimes you have to realize that other people are not going to do that for you. And so are you going to let your life are you going to squander your life away, you know, deep in hurt? Or are you going to try to move on and make the effort? It's fucking hard, but you owe it to yourself to at least make the effort. And, yeah. So, I guess that's that. I don't know. I guess I'll talk to y'all later.